Good afternoon, everybody. If I could just get your attention here for a few minutes, we'll start celebrating Bob's retirement. What we're going to do here is we have maybe like 4 or 5 different presentations, and what we'll do is after the presentations there'll be an opportunity for people to to speak or to make any comments they want or tell stories of Bob's work time here. So, but before we start with the presentations, I just want to thank everybody here today for attending this celebration here for Bob. He certainly earned it, and what a turnout it is. So certainly he has probably impacted everybody here. I know that every day I interact with Bob, and probably most of you have at some point in your career. So with that said, I just want to thank everybody again for coming here today. The first people we're going to have come up here and present some thanks to Bob is NFPA. And for those of you that don't know NFPA, it's the National Fire Protection Association. We have Gary Keith, who is the Vice President of NFPA, and with him is his chauffeur, Robert DeVos.
I left my hat in the car.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to present to Bob today. I have to tell you, my experience with Bob, this is my 17th year with NFPA. Before that, spent some time with Factory Mutual, and my time with Bob goes back, way back to the early days, and had the honor of working much closer with Bob once I came to NFPA on the code adoption issues, the NFPA code adoption issues within the state. To me, and I think to those at NFPA who worked with Bob, when you say fire safety in the state of Vermont, that's Bob Howe. This is going to be a huge transition for all of us that have worked with Bob on fire safety and fire safety related issues around the state, because again, they're just synonymous, and I don't know how you separate them and how you re-identify with somebody else, but we'll do it. But really, we really want to thank Bob, not only for the work within state, but many of you may not know that Bob played an important role outside of the state of Vermont in participating in the NFPA codes and standards system and participating on several NFPA technical committees, bringing his unique flair for fire safety with the Vermont perspective to the national committees, and with a high degree of success. And Bob, you really should be proud of that effort. That takes an extra incentive. People sometimes can be very comfortable in putting in a 9 to 5 within their home territory and not looking beyond that and not participating on a national front. And Bob didn't do that, and we appreciate that. So on behalf of the staff that's worked with Bob, on behalf of the technical committees within NFPA that Bob has worked with, Bob, I want to present you with this plaque upon the occasion of your retirement, and thank you for your many years of dedicated service and support to NFPA. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't want to let these folks get away here without sitting down first, but the NFPA, as an organization, has been great to work with, but in particular Bob and Gary, but not only working together on projects, but friends as well. And when I first started working with them, they would talk about Vermont in terms of that's in another land. And I think over the years they finally begun to accept it's in New England.
Yes.
It's in New England, and we're accepted into the New England ranks.
I had to show my passport at the border. I swear.
So very much appreciate you folks making the effort to come out here and continued support.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. The next presenter is going to be Chief Steve Lott from the Hartford Fire Department. He's going to be representing the career fire chiefs as well as the New England Division of International Fire Chiefs. Thank you, Steve.
So, I'm privileged enough today to represent 2 different organizations, one being the Vermont Career Fire Chiefs and the second the New England Division of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. But with us, first, congratulations, Bob. You know, for me as a fire chief, there's often questions we have on codes, and you always can call Bob up and eventually get to the answer. Sometimes I have to say, put it in my words, you know, help me to understand what you just said. We have a long dissertation, and I go, okay, I still don't understand, dumb it down for me so that I get it. And he has that unique ability and has always been a friend to the entire fire service. And it's we worked through some interesting legislation over the past few years, and he's always there, passionate for our citizens, passionate for the safety of firefighters, and at the end of the day, as Gary said, you know, really a team player looking to make us a better place. So on behalf of both organizations, thank you for all you've done. Enjoy your retirement, enjoy the family, do all the other stuff, and it's been a great pleasure to work with you and doing what you do best. Thank you.
Great, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot too, coming from Steve. 295-3232 is a number that I remembered back, you know, before the days when they had speed dial, and for the Hartford Fire Department and the not only the department but the firefighters there and the chiefs that have come up through and now Steve have been great leaders, not just for the department but for the state as well. And the involved in the coalition and a number of different important things. So it means a lot to have you come up and do this for me, and I appreciate it, and certainly take the message back to the New England Chiefs as well for that help.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, the next presenter is Andy Ray. Andy Ray is an electrical inspector for the Division of Fire Safety, and he's representing the Green Mountain chapter for the International Association of Electrical Inspectors. Thank you, Andy.
Bob, it's been quite a few years and I met you. Go way back.
Well, careful now, because yeah, you're on the same story.
It was about 32 years ago, and if you remember right, I think we're on 101 State Street, was it? We called it the Castle. Was it the third floor or the fourth floor? Maybe the attic.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Bob when I first became electrical inspector back then. And like I said, you had to go up to the third floor. You walked to the third floor. There might be an elevator in there now, but I'm not sure. But you came in, and you came into the room, and there would be Bob and dear old Howard Hill sitting up, and they were the plant reviewers for the whole state of Vermont back then. Remember that? That was a while ago. Two plant reviewers for the whole state of Vermont back then. Bob, through the years, you've helped the inspectors of the state, and I'm here to congratulate you, the International Inspectors Association of Green Mountain Chapter, and for appreciation of all the help that you've given the inspectors through the years, the Vermont electrical inspectors, we'd like to give you this plaque. From the Green Mountain Chapter, IAEI presents the plaque of appreciation for Robert Howe. The members of the Green Mountain Chapter want to thank you for your service to the citizens of the state of Vermont and wish you the best of luck in your retirement. Your knowledge and expertise in resolving the tough issues will always be remembered and appreciated. Came to our meeting here a couple of months ago, and I tried to con you into joining our association.
Well, I think did that come with $140?
Well, what we done in appreciation of support, the Green Mountain Chapter, the IAA presents 1 year IAEI membership to Robert Howe, and on occasion of his retirement.
Well, great,
So,
thank you.
and on the back is some instructions how you just send that in, and we'll pay for it.
At least do it for a year.
We'd love to have you come to our meeting.
Well, really appreciate it about the IAI and what's done for Vermont. my perspective has always been that where you might get by with a hobbyist in some of the trades that we have, you can't get by with a hobbyist or an electrician. So we need licensed professional electricians, and this group has done a long ways to support that. And happy to see we've got electrical board members here today from the current and the past. Pleased to see them here as well. So I hope I don't have so many plaques that I'll end up having to put this one over an outlet.
So I guess at this point, we're going to have the Division of Fire Safety present Bob with a couple of gifts. And but before we do that, I want to thank all the associations and everybody here that contributed to the gifts. We certainly appreciate it. Bob will find the gifts useful. So with that said, thank you all very much for all the help you did, and appreciate that. So first of all, we'll have John Wood, the Deputy Commissioner of Public Safety. He can bring up, I guess, one of the gifts there.
Before I bring up any gifts, I'd like to kind of start with first that Bob's family is with us here today, and Bob, maybe you'd like to introduce your family. His wife Carolyn. I see maybe grandchildren.
Sure. So several reasons here from our retirement are my family and being able to spend more time with them. And so they're not all here today, but we have 7 grandkids, and we have 2 today here, Savannah and Josh. And then my son Jeff, daughter Andrea, and daughter Wendy, and their spouses. And it's been a real pleasure to have them here. And then somebody who has known me longer than any of you here is my sister. So she's the only one who's excluded from the podium here today. So yes, welcome. If you haven't met them, feel free to. They're all, even though some of them work for the state, you know, they're all still pretty congenial folks. So I really appreciate it, and like I say, it's such a blessing to have a family like this, which is, we don't just be a family, we're all best friends as well, so it's really a blessing.
With that, we know that every spouse and every family, with a leader that, such as Bob, sacrifices as well. You sacrifice meals, you sacrifice the 4 o'clock in the morning telephone calls when there's an emergency that somebody else is having somewhere in the state that they're asking Bob for help with. One of the inspectors have an issue and they're calling Bob. Or Bob stays late for work and doesn't make it home for dinner. Or leaves early and doesn't get breakfast, and you've already put all that time into it. So we know that you put up a lot of sacrifice as well for Bob, and the family probably has missed him on a few occasions when he's had to run off to do some things. So what I'd like to do is, Carolyn, if I could have you come up. Just present some flowers to Carolyn. We know that part of Bob's success, if not all of it, is because of a lovely spouse. So, hope you enjoy those. Before I make presentations to Bob, I think to say a few words about him. I've known Bob for, I don't know, 30 years, I guess, maybe more. But more importantly, the last 6.5 years, I've worked side by side with him. As a fire chief in the state of Vermont, I depended on Bob and the staff of, at the time was Labor Industry, to get a lot of the building inspections completed, and to electrical inspections, and plumbing inspections, and all the other issues that a fire chief deals with on a local level, and Bob was always there. More so after the past 6 years, Bob was always there. When I came to work here as the director for the Division of Fire Safety, there was a transition. The fire academy was coming in, the hazmat team was coming in. I thought the building codes and fire codes were coming in, and found out there was an elevator, there was electrical, there was plumbing, there was the access board, there was boilers, and I said, wow, you guys do a lot of stuff. And we had a large transition team that we worked on, and retired Deputy Commissioner Mark Mateos here, he was part of that transition with us. But Bob was really the person that we went to. He had the institutional knowledge. He knew everybody that you needed to know to make the connections to put it together. And Bob was for me, I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. He's just a terrific person. When you talk about character traits and individuals, Bob, probably no one's ever seen him get mad. 'Cause, I mean, he just doesn't, he's just a calm, easygoing guy. There's plenty of times when he could have got mad. And there's plenty of times when he could have yelled and screamed, and he didn't. He's a very calm person. Very humble person. We were going to have a big party for him, and he didn't want anything to do with that. Today, at the House floor, they read a resolution for Bob. They wanted to sit him up front with the family. He had nothing to do with that. No, we'll sit in the back. This past fall, on the calendar project, Bob started the calendar project 20 years ago. And a lot of people in this room have worked on the calendar project and know how important it is to the division and to keep that fire safety message out there every single month. And this past year was 20 years, so we were going to present Bob with a nice presentation that the governor comes, and all the kids are there, the families are there, and I said to Bob, I said, well, what are you doing that day? He had the electrical board ready. He was going to go to the electrical board meeting. I said, Bob, what are you doing going to the electrical board meeting? It's 20 years. We got a big function going on. Oh, he says, I gotta be at that hearing because we're going to be working on codes and stuff like that. He made the appointment so he wouldn't have to be there. That's how humble he is. I said, Bob, you're not going to the electrical board meeting. You're going to the calendar event. That's the kind of person Bob is. He's very humble. Didn't take a lot of credit for stuff, but he was always there working hard. We don't know how many lives were saved because of the work he does in the state. There's no way to measure that. But we know that he has worked hard for 34 years to make sure that the properties and the people of the state of Vermont have been safe. So I apologize for getting a little soft on that, but here's a guy that has dedicated his life to life safety in the state of Vermont. Not just on codes. He participated with the Fire Academy, Fire Training Council, Coalition. He cross-sectored everything, whether it was handicap access boards, electrical boards, in every fire safety, every fire service organization he participated in. Vermont State Firefighters Association, the Vermont Career Chiefs, the Vermont Professional Firefighters, they're all here today. It shows the kind of person that Bob is. And for me, it's been certainly a pleasure to work with him. He's real passionate. When he came and told me he was going to retire, I thought I was in a dream. Because it was like, he shocked me. And he shocked everyone else, because you thought, this guy's probably not going to give this up, you know. But he deserves every minute of this time. And you've been a real staunch supporter of this division, the employees of this division, and me as a newcomer at the time, and Mark as well. When we took over and we brought this whole group together, and we're moving forward with that. The commissioner was going to try to be here today. However, there's a lot of things going on at the legislature, as Bob knows, and this year there's been plenty. He had to go to a Senate committee on, I think it was marijuana dispensaries or something like that, but he couldn't make it. He needed to be there, but he certainly wanted to send his best wishes to you and your family, Bob, and I'd like to present on his behalf on the Department of, for the Department of Public Safety. I need these. What was the time? I didn't. But on behalf of the Department of Public Safety, we present the certificate of appreciation to Bob Howe for his 41 years of service to the state of Vermont. He worked 7 years with AOT prior to coming to the Fire Prevention Division. And on behalf of the commissioner, I'd like to present this to you, Bob.
Thank you.
Now, we have another presentation here. This presentation is really on behalf of the Division of Fire Safety, the employees of the Division of Fire Safety. Bob, if you'd like to open that up. Well, I'm kind of talking about it, but the,
Josh.
too much limelight, huh?
Well, here's the deal. If, in my house, if I open them, you know, we save the paper. It's all neatly folded back up. So that's why the grandkids normally, he's not lying. He's not lying. Trying to make an exception for the folks who want to get home before the project hours. Wait, family's not going to believe this.
So Bob is, you know, the fire academy, the hazmat team, the building and fire prevention officials of the state, and you know, the entire family of public safety wants to present this to Bob. In most fire departments and fire organizations, you have the chief and then you have deputy chiefs and so forth and so on. In this case, we haven't got that structure here. But Bob has always been such a true believer in what the fire service does and how they do it. And he's always been a leader, both in his work here and as a fire service in the state of Vermont. So we felt it appropriate that today is the Queen's, the wedding for the Prince Williams, and we thought, what a fitting day for hats. And Bob picked this day because he wanted this to be a memorable day. For decades on, centuries, this is a memorable day. Bob Howe retired the same day that Prince Williams got married, and they had this big festivity. And Bob, you can see that this is fitting for Bob.
Yeah, the hats don't come any better than this.
We gotta get a photo with that plug right on top.
I was waiting for the other retirees to come up here. It's,
There you go.
I think it's great. Like I just said, I did turn in my my hard hat. I really wanted it for some of the younger guys, because if you're a young inspector, you show up on a job with a new white hard hat, they're immediately going to walk all over you. So I show up with my hard hat. A couple of things I thought about when John was talking, and you know, he brought up the point about it is really hard when you were in the business of prevention to count what didn't happen. And it's always something that we struggle with. We can always put out reports, and we do put out, Mike Grenier and Stan, and before Linda and Donna, some others worked on the annual fire marshal's report, and we put out all kinds of statistics, but what doesn't show is what doesn't happen. So you can look at the fire fatalities going down, and since under John's leadership over the last 5 years, the fire fatalities have dropped about in half of what they were in the previous 5 years. But I do remember the first time you hear about that, and the first time you hear about saving somebody in a particular situation, and it was Ernie Flanders who came up the stairs when we were in the building that Andy described, and said they just had a fire over on, I think it was Summer Street, on the upper end of town, and it was in multifamily housing, but it had been a fight with the developer and architect the whole time to get egress windows and fire-rated doors in and so on. And the chief comes up the stairs and said that same thing. The work that you did saved this family because they had to stay in their apartment and be taken out the window by ladder. And so for the inspection staff that are here with us today, I want to literally take my hat off to you to continue that good work that you're doing. And sadly, Ernie just passed away recently, and services were held for him last week. And the other thing that came to mind, a little lighter note, I'm sure Carolyn really appreciates these flowers because these were flowers that were probably bought just for her. And I got into this slight habit of, over the years, that I coached basketball for 15 years. And during basketball season, they would bring, I coached girls basketball, and oftentimes, whether it was the end of the season or just during the season, people would bring flowers for the players on the team. Well, the players were all excited at the end of the game, and they go home and they leave their flowers on the bench. And I'm thinking, yeah, what an opportunity. And the paper from the florist would still be there. So there's quite a spell that I don't know what eventually should begin to match up game night with getting flowers. And, but it seemed to work for a number of years. So, yeah.
Oh, we never called you Chief Bob.
Creative.
But Bob, he mentioned the basketball, but he's really done so much in the resolution this morning. They talk about the community spirit that he has. And, you know, he's worked with his church and getting meals out to people that need them, the basketball stuff, and he does so much else with the community spirit of things. And I'm sure he'll continue to do that as time goes on. I will certainly miss Bob in my position, whether it's the director of the Division of Fire Safety or deputy commissioner, being able to call Bob and know that you have this. You'd call and say, have you heard anything about this before? And I've never had to deal with this issue before. He said, oh yeah, we dealt with that 25 years ago. This is how we handled it. Let's do it again. And we'll do it again and work. History does work. So I mean, those are the things that we're going to miss about Bob, and he has a sense of humor. So with that, I think we'll give it back to Mike. I think there's some additional presentations.
All right, well, we do have another gift from the Division of Fire Safety as well. Yeah. This one you're gonna hug.
I guess, yes. This is definitely retirement. I hope the seal was engraved in and not burned in.
Look like an electrical probe that we used on that.
It fits.
So, yes. So is there a timer on this? About how long you can stay in it at one time?
Wakes you up to go to bed.
Yeah.
So,
You still have more notes.
maybe. So, I guess this would be a good opportunity if you know, people here have something they want to say or whatever. Get up. I know Alan had something he wanted to read, and you know, give people the opportunity to come up here if they need to.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Can't believe
We'll
you're
try that.
not- I can't believe you're not coming back under contract. My name's Alan Palmer, and I work for BGS. For the last 6 years, I've had the opportunity and indeed the honor of representing the Commissioner of BGS on the Access Board, which Bob has just been absolutely wonderful as the chairman, director, whatever of the Access Board. He's kept us straight, and when we talk about him and his knowledge of anything to do with codes in the state of Vermont, it's really phenomenal. We are going to miss him greatly. One of my fellow members has said that she was not able to be here today, and she asked that this be read. So, dear Bob, I'm sorry to be absent from the celebration today. Only something as key as the annual Historic Preservation Conference in Poultney today could have kept me away. My first reaction on hearing the news of your impending retirement was an admittedly a selfish one. Oh no, Bob can't retire. But of course you can, and of course you richly deserve a great retirement. You have been a wonderful colleague and ally on historic buildings over the years, never shrinking from the latest code compliance challenge and always thoughtful and creative on finding ways to keep historic buildings safe while preserving their unique character. You have contributed significantly to keeping some of Vermont's most important historic buildings in active use, and thereby keeping Vermont the special place that it is. I have always appreciated your spirit of collaboration, and thank you for your work on our joint projects, like the field guides that assemble case studies of successful fire and life safety and access solutions in historic buildings. And thank you for your national efforts on behalf of historic buildings, like helping to craft NFPA 914. Your work will continue to serve Vermonters and others for years to come. You have been an ambassador of building safety to the preservation community in Vermont, and we will miss your good counsel. Feel free to drop by a preservation roundtable meeting if you ever find that retirement is not challenging enough. We hope that this summer, for fun, you will want to stop by some of the historic sites the division owns, like the Bennington Monument and the President Calvin Coolidge site in Plymouth, and encloses a VIP pass to those sites for you and your guests. We wish you many years of relaxation with family and friends in your retirement. Know that you will be sorely missed, and I hope our paths cross again. Nancy Boone, State Architectural Historian, Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer.
Yeah, as Alan referred to there's just a number of different niches that the division works with, and access for people with disabilities, and building and structures code, but it's also very gratifying too, you know, when I look at it, it's just not seeing friends and acquaintances who are from the inspection and code enforcement side, but friends and acquaintances who are in the regulated community, whether they're building trades and specialties or materials or all these different things as well. So before I lose a chance with Mike and his notebook, to thank everybody for coming.
Does anybody else?
Mike, I got one.
Okay, yep. All right. Thanks, Bob.
I think it's ironic that here we are honoring Bob on his last day, and as supportive as he's been with the codes, that we have 65 people in the room and only holds 49.
And Stan is not saying a word.
You'll mention it later.
That's why we should have that.
I have a letter here from the State Fire Marshal's Office out of New Hampshire. It says, congratulations on completing 40-plus years in Vermont's fire service. I wish I could be there to enjoy the celebration, but due to another commitment, I am unable to attend. Your service with the state of Vermont spans more than 4 decades, but you have certainly improved the safety of the public and firefighters with whom you have served. On behalf of the state of New Hampshire, I wish to thank you for your active collaboration with the New Hampshire State Fire Marshal's Office in the promotion of public safety. This certificate is presented in recognition of our appreciation of your dedication to protecting lives and property. Having worked fire investigations and code enforcement along the Vermont border for many years as a fire investigator, I have firsthand experience with your dedication to the public and the fire service. You are always quick to share that experience, and along with inviting us to your code training sessions. Thank you for your friendship and cooperations with the Office of the New Hampshire State Fire Marshal. Best wishes in your retirement. State Fire Marshal Bill Degnan. There's a certificate for you.
And I can't roast Bill because he's not here. Well, there have been some stories. I know we were getting into, New Hampshire, of course, was always one step behind Vermont in the code and standards and safety programs and so on. But when the fire safe cigarette legislation came around for New Hampshire, Bill called up on a number of different occasions, and we talked different strategies and how it had worked in Vermont and who we had brought into some strange bed files, and VPIRG was actually was working with us, and a number of different groups working with us, and so we went through that strategy, and then finally Bill calls back up one day and says, if you've been through all this, Bob, you've probably done a bunch of letters and stuff too, right? So I sent him copies of sample letters and everything else to help him out. But even as they returned a favor there, and they sent Jim Lidovich over to work for us. So. Mike, back to your notebook there.
Sure. I just went to my office to get something, and I just saw the saddest thing. Bob's desk is completely cleared.
You know what color it is now?
I do. Before I give him this, I think Bob got wind of the helmet, because all the years I worked here, last week I heard him curse for the first time. So I think he knew he was going to be wearing a white helmet. Bob's been real supportive of the hazmat team, and so we're going to make him an honorary member.
All right.
But that means that every third weekend.
And don't let Chris sell anything short. We have the best state hazmat team that I've ever been exposed to. So they do a great job, and cooperation from the fire service all over the state.
Hi there, my name is Matt Coda, and I'm the Executive Director of the Vermont Fuel Dealers Association. We're one of those niche parts of his job that he deals with on a daily basis. We represent the fuel dealers and the service technicians, and what I appreciate most about Bob is that when I had a question, when one of my members had a question, when there was some issue that we had to be resolved, immediately he would respond. Any hour of the night, I could tell he was on his BlackBerry responding to me, and when there was an issue that we were unclear of or that needed to be settled between the industry and this office, he sat down and called a meeting, and we were able to work out the differences. And more importantly, the education, the certification of heating technicians, oil, heat, and propane, started under Bob's leadership, is, I think, a model for other states across the country, and we appreciate all that he's done for the state of Vermont. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I want to thank Matt for coming here, and Bob, if there's somebody you want to stay close with, it's Matt, because he can reach out to, what is it, 80-something LP gas distributors with a click of his computer there, reaching out to a newsletter that goes to all the tradespeople that work with gas and oil and all these kinds of stuff. And for the people who've been in training, you've heard me say it before, but we only have so many inspectors who can be out there. But if we get the tradespeople convinced that safety is their business as well, then that's how we're going to protect the public. So thank you very much.
Anybody else want to? Okay, Kathy.
Thanks. I'm Kathy Hilgendorf, and I'm here representing the Commissioner of Education. About 11 years ago, when I became responsible for school facilities and school construction at the Department of Education, one of the chief people who helped me learn about schools and keeping the buildings safe was Bob Howe. And my mentor at the department said there wasn't a single person in state government that was more important to me in the success in my job than Bob Howe. And he certainly had a lot to do with occasionally my being able to sound to a school district like I knew what I was talking about because I had called Bob. And one of the things that I appreciated most, Bob, was that when you were talking to me about a code, you've always explained the background for it. Why did this become a code? And that not only helped me remember it, but helped me to explain to schools how to construct, renovate, and utilize their buildings to keep people safe. So I have always appreciated that, and I know that our school buildings in Vermont are much more sound and safe buildings than they would be if it weren't for the assistance of Bob over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. And our working relationship is, I think, really shown up here in the last couple of years, because there haven't been any problems with new school construction in the last couple of years.
You stopped having kids!
If you don't already know, there hasn't been any money in the budget for new construction.
My notebook.
Running out of notes?
All right,
I just want to say on behalf of the family, Bob Blackner has retired as well.
Lady Carol is real happy about that.
It's in the Blackberry Museum.
They don't even make batteries for it anymore.
all right. So I guess what we're gonna do here is we have a nice cake over there, and we have plenty of refreshments and stuff, so I'd encourage everybody to take this opportunity to say their farewell to Bob. He's got to work until at least 4:30.
That was a memo from Dave Henderson.
Right?
4:30.
So we have him for another hour and 10 minutes. So.
Well, I do want to, just thank you. I can't thank you enough for such a great showing. When John and I were talking about having a get-together, he said he wasn't going to do anything big. If I had agreed to do something big, we'd probably be on some cruise ship or something. It's certainly more than what I thought was happening, but it's been very heartwarming to have everybody here, and I want to thank you very much and keep up the good work, regardless of what where you're involved with the public safety piece, whether you're in leadership roles, or whether you're in inspection roles, or whether you're trade workers, or you're out there getting dirty every day in the trades, or wherever you're involved. I just wish you the best for continued success, but also continued success with safety, because that's what we've got. 600,000 people are relying on what we do. So thank you very much.
Back to work, everyone.
Secretary.
Given one, I'm feeling it.